All right, expecting our guest, Mr. Paul D. Jones, in just a few minutes. All right, I think he's just getting ready to settle in, getting ready to step into the building here in the Dirty Basement. So we're going to get him mic'd up in just a minute and bring him on the airways. Let me see if I can get that accomplished right now. My switchboard going to cooperate. Mr. Jones, how are you? Mr. Jones?
Oh, no, wait. I'm dialing him in now.
Okay, all right. We just get all right. That's my publicist friend right there. All right, I guess I caught her off guard, Mr. Ross. She's sounded a little frantic. Like, wait a minute.
like, don't hang up.
All right, so I'm sorry, Belinda. I'm sorry. All right, Dirty Basement Radio is live radio, like I always say, and sometimes you get a little peek behind the curtain. But it's definitely all good. No worries. All right, but we definitely looking forward to talking to Mr. Jones. Get him settled in the Dirty Basement, and definitely get in tune with what he has to say. Because I'm trying to get $1 million, Mr. Rowe. I'm trying to get $1 million. So I think the best way to get $1 million or close to $1 million is talk to somebody who's already further along than you are. You know what I'm saying? So I got my number 2 pencil, and I got a whole loose leaf book. Forget about a piece of paper. I got the whole book. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to go in. But you do have the benefit of the archive. So even after this show, you can go back and you can re-listen to what, went on during the course of the show, during the course of this interview with Mr. Paul D. Jones, financial advisor and such. And, you could definitely revisit it for your own benefit. All right, let me see if we have Mr. Jones ready now. Let me see. 845, you're live on the air, Dirty Basement Radio. 845, Mr. Jones. Looks like we're not quite have that connection quite ready yet. So I guess we'll move forward. We have another cut for the go or no. So let me see. I think the artist on this one is Ron O'Neill, and I believe this song is called Black Bottle Boy. So let's check this joint out as we wait for Mr. Jones, and let's see if this is a go or no.
SV. Yo, let's go. I was on my way to the corner store, but I gotta be low, cause I'm the one they gunning for. Shit, what they running for? Must be these big ass shells coming up as 44, trapping out the honeycombs. Feds caught one package, man, fuck it, got 100 more, chilling in my summer home. And niggas killed one of mine, better know we got 100 more, man, I'm in another zone.
All right, we're going to have to pull back on this one, and we'll jump back to that. That'll be the first one back after we finish chopping it up with Mr. Jones, but I believe he's ready right now to come on the airway, so let's get straight to it. All right, now switchboard, don't start acting up now. This is not the time. All right, there we go. Mr. Jones, how are you?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you doing?
All right. I'm doing better and better by the minute, and hopefully I'll be a lot better off after I finish conversating with you. So, let's get a plan. All right. Well, let's get straight into it because I'm definitely intrigued. Definitely just to begin with, how did you end up in this particular field, in this line of work, I guess, doing what you do, especially being a black man doing it, because that's something that is definitely needed but neglected, in our community. We all hear the stories about, a baby's 3 years old and already got bad credit. So there's a lot of us that definitely could use some advice and some pointers and how to, get ourselves together financially. So please, the floor is yours.
Well, I'll tell you, the beginning of it came by straight frustration. So it's when you're frustrated about something, you see a certain situation, you see the way things work out, and I'm the type of person that once I get upset about something, and not upset as in in a negative mindset, but upset to say, you know what, things can be better. I need to do something different. Well, that was just that. Once I knew I wasn't in a good situation, once I knew I wasn't happy with where my financial situation was, instead of me getting to the point where I would blame someone else, I took it upon myself, and I became an information geek. I mean, literally, I geeked out. And because if you beat me at something, if you outsmart me, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm going to be mad at myself. So I'll never gain or have a victim mentality. I'll have the mentality that says, you know what? Yep, this happened to me because I did not know any better. And I wasn't going to blame anyone. So I'll look at it from my mother, beautiful woman, raised me, awesome, bless her heart, she's gone now. But she's from the South. So imagine you're born in Mississippi in 1942, 1943. At 10 years old, it's 1953. 20 years old, it's 1963. Okay, what really did she learn? And then here I am, 8 years later, born. Well, now the information that I received was slated anyway. So I didn't want to go and blame life on where the region she grew up in or anything else or on anyone else. I just realized that if I wanted things to change, I had to take it upon myself and find out what I was missing out on. And once I found out, I said, oh, hold on. Now I got to let everybody else know too. And so that's why I started in business. So really, imagine this, 20 years ago, about 25 years ago, I'm in a very, very small one-bedroom apartment. So it was 20 years ago. My daughter's should be 21 in June. So she's about 1.5. So here we are 18 years later. And I realized I want to buy a home, but this is how I realized I wanted to buy a home. My brother was over and his brother, and, they're having adult talk, if you know what I mean. So I looked at my daughter, and I said, baby, why don't you go lay down? Now, keep in mind, we're in a very, very small one-bedroom apartment. But I was needing for her to go and get in the bed. But what she did is she grabbed her blanket and she crawled on the couch. See, once I peeped game on that and I actually looked at that, see, certain things happen when other people are around or in your home and your little domain, then you realize that I was like, no, baby, I meant for you to go to the room. Well, it hit me. That was her bed. She did exactly what I told her to do. Right. At that point, I said, I need to buy a house. I need to change the generational curse. I need to change the generation of lack. So,
Now, let me just stop you right there. Because that was going to be like my next series of questions. Because, a lot of us, you talk about generational curse, a lot of us get into a series of bad habits. Now, of course, it starts with, not having, just like you said, you didn't know. So it starts with not knowing, and we don't get that kind of, a financial education, through the schooling system, and a lot of times it's not, even taught really in the household. So how did you break your bad habits?
Well, you know what? That's what pain does to you. If you get sick and tired enough, then you're going to say, wait a minute. I was in enough pain and I had enough love. I'll repeat that. I was in enough pain and I had enough love for my child. And many passionate young parents right now, they will go, like I've seen friends that, unfortunately went to jail, and they said, man, I had to take care of these babies, that I have. I had to take care of my kid, but they did the wrong thing. Well, so I had the same mentality because I grew up in the same projects. I grew up in the same lower income mindset or lifestyle. So I understood that. But I knew that I was not going to do something to embarrass my mother. So that's why I said that's the love. And I knew I wanted to be in my daughter's life, so that was the love, but I was still feeling the same pain. And that's when I said, okay, hold on. So I got to figure out. So I went to buy a house, and they declined me.
Okay, wow.
So I go get a mortgage, and they turn me down. So this is, it all adds up. I go to buy a home, they turn me down. I ask why. I feel like I'm making enough money. I have a business degree. My wife has a bachelor's in nursing and a bachelor's in Spanish, and you are turning us college-educated folks down. Why? They said debt-to-income ratio. That was the first time. Keep in mind, like I said, I had a business degree. My wife is educated, and it's the first time I heard the phrase debt-to-income ratio. My question was, how could someone graduate from college and not understand the same debt-to-income ratio? Then come to find out that the debt was the credit card debt that I accumulated while I was in college trying to enjoy life and live life and pay for school, and the school loans that I got. That was the only debt I had. So therefore, take the debt with the income coming in, they say you don't make enough to be able to afford this home. So I was forced to start a home business. I said, you know what, I'm going to start something, and I got to do something. So I started working from home. I was selling telecom service. And I wanted my house that bad that I sold enough telephone service that I had enough money to go pay down the debt so that I could get the loan to buy the home. From there, once I accomplished that, that's when it hit me that I really did it because I wanted something bad enough. And from there, and teaching, people have always said, man, you need to put this in a book. You need to tell the stories. How did you do it? The frustration that you go through, dealing with negative people. When you say it worked for you, they say, well, it doesn't work for everyone. Well, yeah, it works for everyone who truly believes, and it doesn't work for everyone who doesn't believe. But what I really did is I default. I said I need to understand everything about credit because it was credit that was messing me up and stopping me from buying my home. By default, I said I need to understand everything about debt because it was high debt that was messing me up and stopping me from buying my home. So I did that. Now, fast forward, you make a ton of money, you're doing good, you open more companies, life is great, and then we hit a recession. And I'm like, wow, now we're in a recession. And that's when it hit me, and I went back and I learned even more about creating a net worth and understanding financial literacy because I made millions, but I did not have the full understanding of financial literacy that I have today. And that's when I look at it and say, you know what, financial literacy is the key to a person's better life. Because if you can have a regular man's salary, if you have a regular man's salary, but you understand financial literacy, and say you're in a young adult age, there's not an adult around here who's 50 years old would tell me that's worked for the last 30 years of their life since they were 20 that they are happy to go work another 25 years. That person is not being honest,
Right.
And I mean to the point where they absolutely have to do it. That's my point. I want to add that. So there's people who do things because they love to do it, but I'm talking about you're 50, you're 55, and you absolutely have to do it or you're homeless at an older age. So if we understand financial literacy, then we start understanding how to create a net worth.
Now,
and that's why. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say now, before you even get that far, what did you find, with some of the basic mistakes that people make, that keeps them, trapped, in the rat race, so to speak.
Man, great question. I'll speak for myself. The emotional buying habits. Remember the same love that I said I had for my daughter and my wife and all of that. Well, that same love would make me go buy something that I couldn't afford. People who have a misunderstanding of what success is, they think that having a nice car is success. So therefore, they will go and sign on the dotted line to get a more expensive car or more car than they can actually afford, because they have a job. So now they got to get a car to match. And next thing you know, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And it's funny, I'll say it this way. When I worked at Taco Bell, yes, I worked at Taco Bell, and I made some very good tacos, when I worked there. But when I worked at Taco Bell, do you realize that although my budget was tight, I made it at that level? Then when I got a part-time job, I worked at Taco Bell. Then I started detailing cars on the side. I was able to upgrade some things. But, I made it on that level. The next thing you know, I become an assistant manager for Taco Bell. Then it's like, great, I got another raise. Every time I got a raise, I expanded what I had, but I never took the money to create wealth. And I'm like, wow, what if I'd have stayed in the same spot when I was making less for another year and stepped that money up? Then when I stepped out, now I have more of a cushion and I have money in a growth fund that draws interest versus me paying higher interest on things. So it's those simple things of financial literacy that people don't understand. So therefore, this is what messes up your credit. This is what messes up and gives you high debt. So therefore, you can't create wealth. No man can create wealth with debt, period. It's not going to happen because it's the thing that they're going to do is to figure out your net worth. And they're going to take all of your income and your net worth, things that you actually own. You don't own the job, so they can't count that. Keep that in mind. So the things that you actually own, and then they're going to subtract it by the debt. For most people, when that subtraction happens, there's a negative. When you have financial literacy understanding, you're mindful of that. And you say, you know what, I want to keep my debt no more than 30% of what I'm doing. So now get this. All you're doing is running your home life like a business. And I make a statement, and I hope people hear this. Today, my net worth is more than the average platinum recording artist, especially the average platinum rapper. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Now,
yeah, right.
the difference is this right here. It's not because I made a hit record. It's because over the years I did something different. Now, there are people who you know that are were boxers, entertainers, rappers, who had a high income, meaning those same people at times may have actually made more money than me per month or per year, but it's what they did with their money and what I did with mine is what
that made it.
Does it make sense?
Right.
So now you see someone when they start to fall off the chart, or when they get out of shape and they can't box anymore, then you hear the horror stories of how they're losing everything and what happens with their friends. Now, I'll say that because I had the same situations happen in my life where you're up, next thing you're down, and then you get to see who's around you, and then you see your real friends. But when you have understanding of financial literacy, now keep in mind, I'm not talking about get rich, just an understanding of financial literacy, which consists of your credit, which consists of a debt payoff plan, which consists of a daily budget. You know, you spend money every day, but most people budget by the month. You get what I'm saying? But we spend money every day, but we budget by the month. Well, that doesn't make sense. So think about this. When you work at a business like the kids that work at McDonald's, Taco Bell, or anything, the manager runs hours every hour, meaning they will go to that till and they'll do something on the computer, and it will show how much money they made in that last hour. And from the money that they made in that last hour, that shows them the exact income. And if hours aren't good, they will send somebody home. And we got to do the same thing in our own personal business. You know, so if we do that with our own personal business, then we say, hey, wait a minute, I see today I'm not doing as good as I would like to be. So let me cut my spending right now. The same way as a person who gets their hours cut at the fast food restaurant, but now we do the same thing being savvy in our own personal homes. So the whole thing is, it means planning. It means scheduling for success. It means having some form of maybe a home business that you can start. So therefore, you can get the tax advantages of a home business owner and be able to do something where you can leverage your income and realizing that 9 to 5, well, that may be your employer's time, but 5 to 9, that's your time. So there's so many little things we can do, and before a person knows it, they may not ever live as big as the big name entertainer or the sports star, but they'll handle their financial matters in such a way that they're living almost as good. I'm not saying you're going to get $1 million home and, the big cars and all that. I'm saying peace of mind.
But you'll be comfortable. Right,
there
right.
You go.
You'll be
comfortable without, and if the boss man fires you, then you can just look at him and say, all right, he just gave me some time to go think about what I want to do next because I have a net worth, and that's the difference. Just get people to understand what a growth fund versus debt. So wealth is not your car, the clothes, and all of that. And people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. We blow millions to trillions of dollars a year as a community on frivolous things. When I say that,
that's right. I mean, we have there's a lot of buying power out there people don't realize. But let me ask you this question, because you had mentioned something a little bit earlier. Then I want to bring my co-host Mr. Raw in on this conversation. If somebody does have a few dollars that they want to invest, because it seems like right now there's no place really to put any money at that can really draw any kind of interest. So where would you park your money at right now if you wanted to put $5,000 someplace?
Well, $5,000, number one, I would look for what business I could start maybe, and if they don't have the energy to do that, then you'll never go wrong with a tax-deferred growth fund, meaning a Roth IRA or something like that. You can't go wrong with that because the key word is tax-deferred. So when you're working to accumulate any form of wealth, get this, when you receive money, you're taxed, right? But if you get a paycheck, they're going to give you what's called the net. But when it's tax-deferred, you can actually say, hey, I want to take the gross and I want to put this aside, and then what comes to you is different. But you actually save maybe 20 to 30%. So for something in the basic realm, I would do that. If not, starting a home business, that's always the right way to go, because you got to understand that a return on investment, maybe it'll take $5,000 to run and get your business off the ground and you're doing your thing, and you see that you're making $500 a month. You know, well, after 1 year, you've made $6,000, which means you had a $1,000 profit. What people make the mistake on is they live off the $500 to $600 a month instead of recognize that was an investment. So you take that and you put that money back up. Now, a year later, you doubled your money. You get that? Because you still have the principal of the $5,000, and then now you have the original. So at least you had $1,000 profit. You know, so now you keep doing that. The next year, that money's growing even more, and then as it gets more and more, you can go to get a. You know, there's in certain towns, you know, across the country, USA, you can buy homes, 3-bedroom homes for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Right. You know, you can buy them free and clear. You buy that free and clear, and someone's renting it. Well, you still have the money because the money's sitting in the property. You know, and some people will say, oh, the housing market is bad. Well, they're looking at it from the wrong perspective, because everyone's going to have to rent from someplace. So it's not that the housing market is bad. They got to recognize that, hey, if you're going to rent, then that's, you know, $800 a month that someone's paying you for rent. Well, that's a, you know, $10,000 a year income. Well, after 4 years, you made $40,000. After 5 years, that's $50,000. How many of those over time will you have? And that's what I said earlier. What would a young person with the right mindset to say, you know what, I'm not trying to impress anybody right now, but when I'm 40 to 45 years old, people are going to look and say, man, I should have did what you did when I was 25. You know, well, you know, that's really the difference.
You know, well, you're putting a lot on the table. I mean, we might have to set aside an entire show, you know, just to bring you on and talk about these. Because you touched on another thing that I would love to talk about, and that's real estate, because that's something I'm very much interested in also. But I got to bring my co-host, Mr. Roy, on this. I know we only have you for a few more minutes, so I got to get him in on this conversation. Mr. Roy?
Hey, he was talking my language right there, brother. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Roy, how are you?
Man, I'm very intrigued about what you were saying, because you know what? I was in both of those type of situations, like owning a house in New York, and then I moved to North Carolina, and North Carolina houses are different, man. The money that you sell that house for in New York and what you can get down here, oh, my goodness, the difference is so astronomical. When I tell people, they looking at me like, are you serious? I'm like, yo, listen, man, that same $400,000 house that you sold here, you getting a house that's worth at least double that, $800,000 down here. It's big and beautiful, 4-car garages, and everybody says it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but you definitely have to know what you're doing with it, and you know, learning from other people's experiences is something that people have to take heed into, because if somebody else made a mistake on a certain type of investment, look into that and find out why it turned out to be a mistake, and then you look into how it's not going to be a mistake for you. So I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. And I wish I did know some of the things that I learned now. I wish I did know it 20 years ago. I would be so much further.
Right. Well, we on the same page, because when I said earlier that what catapulted me into teaching and to writing books and all that, you know, as I'm a business owner by trade, I guess we'll say that I'm an entrepreneur, period. But the frustration of knowing you made a financial mistake really is hurtful, you know. And when you know what you could have done, or you find out later what you could have done, that bugs you. And I remember older people saying, oh, you young kids won't listen, or saying, man, if I can go back 20 years knowing what I know now. Well, that's why I write books now. That's why I just say I'm the guy with the trumpet, blowing it as loud as I can, saying, everyone listen. We're doing things a little wrong, and it's a trick.
Right.
And if you don't change the game, then you're going to sit back later and blame it on somebody else. But it's right in our face. So think about this right here before we go. One of the reasons for financial literacy, understanding credit, as we have our company, mycreditisbetter.com, because I want people to understand everything about credit. But understand this, when a person goes to get a home loan, you got to, and why financial literacy is so important is because little things like understanding a rate term loan versus an adjustable rate loan. The rate term loan is going to tell you, okay, this loan is this rate, maybe 5% over the next 25 years. So no matter what happens in the market, you have a home at 5%, or it could be 7%. But it's going to be that for the next 20 to 25 to 30 years for the term, and it pays the principal in which pays the house off. But people got hoodwinked and tricked by not thinking and using financial literacy and understanding of financial literacy. And that's why I say I won't blame it on predatory lending. I won't blame it on any other industry. I'm going to look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, the more savvy you become on the basics of finances, because financial literacy doesn't mean you can pay your bills on time. It means you understand where the money is moving and how the money is moving and how it can be working to your advantage. So an adjustable rate loan, that rate was going to adjust whether you were in a position for it to adjust or not. Therefore, most of them were interest only. Well, if it's interest only, that means it never touched the principal. If it never touched the principal, that means you never own it. And anything that you can never own is a bad deal. So we have to make sure that we are mindful of debt elimination with a debt payoff plan. We got to understand how to create a net worth. And that's why I just put a company together with a team of people who can, help folks get ahead in life. And that's my passion, because you know what? I always wish that someone would have told my mother. And I just said, you know what? Well, now you're the guy to go tell somebody else's mother who may have a kid that is talented as maybe I am or maybe you guys are. And you know what? If we work together and spread the word, we'll stamp out financial literacy in our neighborhoods and as well as many others. So it's, I have no borders. Anyone who needs a better understanding and wants to do better in life financially, the first step is I'm going to show them how to start a business from home so that they can get the tax advantages. So they don't have to be a superstar, big, rich millionaire, but you've got to understand how to be in position. Because think about this. Who makes the owners the money in this country, the most money? Owners or employees? Well, we know it's owners. So if everybody knows that owners are the ones who produce the most wealth, then we have to put people into an ownership position. So whether it's a part-time ownership position or a full-time ownership position, when you watch this election stuff that's going on, a lot of times you hear them talk about fiscal responsibility and tax dollars and this and that. Well, you must be in position slightly as a business owner, and now you can start benefiting in that pool also, and writing certain things off, like your cell phone, like your internet, like your vehicle and the mileage you drive, like the dinners or the dinner meetings. All these things you can write off, which puts more money into your pocket, which you can take that money to expand your business to create more wealth. So I look forward to teaching more and helping people and helping people get the credit right and working with you guys more and more as you need it.
Well, now, if they do want to get more, in tune with what it is that you have to offer, how could they, get more in touch with you? How could they follow you and, get some more of your, because, I know that you do a lot of seminars, aside from, being a author of a number of books. I know you do a lot of seminars and a lot of different appearances. So do you plan on doing anything that's going to be on the East Coast anytime soon?
Well, I'm on the East Coast now, so I will be doing several things. So I don't know what's all on the docket, but anyone can contact me at pauldjones.com, pauldjones.com, and connect through all the social medias. If you hit the Twitter, Twitter box, and Instagram me the whole nine. I think it's at Mr. Paul D. Jones for Twitter and at Paulie D. Jones. So that's PAULYD Jones.com for at Twitter. But if they just go to pauldjones.com, hit that, or my latest book, I Quit Being Broke. All they have to do is go to facebook.com/I Quit Being Broke, and they're connected with me. And, we're always open to learn, and we're always open to help other people improve their lives that they want, because it's about a lifestyle and them creating wealth. And I know we can do it and help many do it.
Well, sir, thank you so much. It's been fantastic talking to you, and we definitely look forward to having you on these airways again. We appreciate your time.
All right, bless you guys, and thank you for the time.
All right. Mr. Paul D. Jones here on Dirty Basement Radio. Well, Mr. Roy, I definitely learned a lot, and there's I'm going to be going back and rewinding that one in the archives myself and getting some more of the information that I missed the first time around, and I know quite sure that you're going to be doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah. When somebody takes the time out to let you experience what they realize and they know that you had the same type of thoughts about it, then it's way more fulfilling when you say, come on, check this out, man. Don't you remember when we didn't know this and now we got somebody who's going to tell us, and we're going to beat the game by helping people learn way before they know to, because we didn't learn until a later time. So having a brother like him putting the word out, I definitely think that everybody should get in contact with him, spend some time politicking with him. He can give you some information that is well needed while you have a chance to be able to utilize it. I suggest everybody jump on that.